I found that it's critical to have a place where we can bring all of our crap, lay it down at the feet of our brothers, and be looked in the eye and be told, I love you, brother. How can I support you right now? All right, brothers, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of the Born to Purpose podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Matthew Sinkovitz. It's my co-host and faithful partner in recovery, Yeadon Smith. Yeadon, welcome, brother. Honored to have you.
Partner in recovery. I love that. It's like I could feel it. You're like partner in recovery.
Yes, I like it. It was an audible. It was an
top notch, bro. Top notch. Always good to be here with you, man. Good to be here.
Honored to have you with us here today, brothers. And speaking of partner in recovery, we've got a poignant conversation lined up for you here today. And the title of today's episode is Why You Can't Do This Alone. The Power of Community and Recovery. And I'm a man of words, and I was almost hesitant to label it Why You Can't Do This Alone, because, who am I to say? But what I will say is I have found in my journey that community is an essential piece of the puzzle. Like, that's likely why you showed up to this podcast conversation here today. Maybe you've been trying to do it on your own, right? I know, speaking for myself, I tried to navigate recovery on my own for many years, right? To little success. Yeadon, I suspect, can...
You know my story. Decades trying to do this on my own.
Right. And so I want to touch on three reasons today why community is such a critical piece of the puzzle. Why community is such a critical piece of the puzzle in this recovery journey, and why I find it to be an essential piece of the puzzle, and why I would argue that it can't be done alone. Right? Yeah. Maybe there are some rare exceptions, but in most cases, I find community to be a critical piece of the puzzle. Okay, so let's go ahead and dig into this a little bit here today. So, number one, an essential role of community in the recovery journey is the tools and the strategy that we pick up along the way. Learning from other men ahead of you actually helps to shorten the learning curve, right? We often say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
Right? That's like a common phrase that we work with here inside the community, or a common idea that we work with here inside the community. Right? And the idea is that you could try it on your own, trial and error, for decades, like Yeadon and I attempted, right? But you don't need to keep reinventing the wheel. And you don't need to keep falling off the bike over and over again for decades upon end, right? And I like to liken it to, if you're going to climb Mount Everest, why not have a guide that's been on the path that can share the tools and the strategies with you ahead of you, right? Or if I was going into battle, maybe I could do it having never gone into battle before, but I know I would be a lot more confident, and I know my chances of success would be much greater if I followed a seasoned warrior into battle ahead of me, right? So alone we are guessing. When we go together, we go equipped, right, with the tools and the strategies that are going to be most likely supportive of our success.
Matt, as you were talking about this stuff, some things came to my mind, where even if a man tries to do this alone, the reality is they're still not doing it alone. Think about the entrepreneur who's like, you know what? I'm going to start a business. I'm going to run my own business. I'm going to work for myself. I'm not going to have any employees, not going to have any partners. I'm just going to be me, my truck, and whatever work I do. Even that guy who we would put up on a pedestal as the rugged American individual, hero type character. That guy is still going to read books, have conversations, study the business, study business.
Yeah.
So even in the perception of going solo, you're still not going solo. Think about how, you think anybody could learn how to tie their shoes without help?
Right.
Just all these kind of analogies popped into my head as you're talking about. It's like, well, you might be able to, and I would reinforce what you said at the beginning, and I'm just going to call a shovel a shovel.
Yeah.
Dude, you cannot do this on your own. Even if you are by yourself outside of a community, you're still listening to podcasts, reading books, reading articles, following content on wherever you're following it, trying to reinforce your own inner willpower to avoid the trap of pornography.
Yeah.
So, to push this into the rated M for mature podcast land, I call bullshit.
Yeah.
You cannot do this by yourself, because even if you are doing it by yourself, you're still not really doing it by yourself. You're learning lessons that other men have learned, mistakes they've made, whether it's from a book, article, blog, podcast. You're still learning from other men's mistakes and successes.
Yeah, that's good, Yeadon. I appreciate you pushing it into, you need this support.
It just popped into my head. It's like, even if someone appears to be going it alone, the reality is they're not. They're leaning on untold mountains of experience of other men who have, whether it's through reading a book or any other sort of isolation type work. The truth is, brother, you will not beat this on your own. It is 100% a guessing game. Would you just invest $100,000 on a startup business without doing any research or having any conversations? No. And you know why? Because the risk is too high of losing your 100K.
Yep.
The classic thing, restaurants is everybody's favorite business to start. It's the most failed business in the country.
Yep.
You're going to study and make sure you know what you're doing. Maybe buy a franchise, something that increases your odds of success. You're going to study. And what I would offer with the porn addiction and the porn conversation is, too often we as men don't realize what is at stake. We don't realize how high the stakes are.
Yeah.
So we play the guessing game, and we quit over and over and over and over and over again without real success.
Yep.
You can't start a restaurant over and over and over again, because there's only so many times you're going to put $100,000 into a startup before, nope, not doing that.
Yep.
And I think we kind of fool ourselves into this idea that, well, I'm making progress because I keep trying.
Yep.
But if you're not really with somebody or using somebody else's knowledge, somebody else's experience, then you're not going to make any progress.
Yep.
We're playing good cop, bad cop today. Matt, back to you. Good cop.
It's a necessary dynamic, and I appreciate it. So in the spirit of not going it alone, the next piece I want to offer to you, which comes as I would say a critical piece of the community puzzle, and that's accountability. Mm-hmm. It goes without saying, right? So how do we define accountability? There's a lot of ways to do it, right? For me, a couple ways I might define accountability is, number one, visibility, right? And number two, how about like responsibility or loving responsibility, right? We have, I think our community has a special way of kind of holding each other in this journey in a way of like care and compassion versus like hard-nosed, get your shit together, you fucked up, like what the fuck? Like there is that energy out there, right? But I like the idea of loving responsibility. Lovingly versus calling each other out, we call each other up and we call each other forward, right? Example for me, accountability for me in my life looks like having a conversation with Yeadon every week, right? Around my recovery journey, areas in my journey where I get to be visible, and accountable and held responsible. Accountability for me looks like having general tracking and monitoring software on my computer that I check in with on my I check in with my sponsor every week. Responsibility, accountability looks to me like whenever I'm going to be in a place or a location that maybe I'll have open access to the internet or my typical protocols not in place, then I check it in with the community, like before and after, right? That's what accountability looks like to me. Accountability, visibility, loving responsibility looks like every Saturday on our weekly calls, we put our trackers up for the whole community to see and say, how did I do this week? How did I do in my habits? How did I do in my core 4? How did I do in my recovery journey? That's what accountability looks like. And to Yeadon's point, you don't get accountability without having someone else involved. You could say I do self accountability, but we all know how that works, right? So, yeah, that's my take on accountability, and I find it to be an essential piece of the puzzle. And maybe for you, it just looks like having a single accountability partner, right? But maybe it looks like having a whole community of men to support you, which I find to be much more powerful. Yeadon, what you got on this?
You know, I was thinking back to the first type of business analogy that I was thinking of, and how, let's say you start a restaurant. Well, if it's not going well and you're making mistakes, there is a hard wall of accountability that you run into. It's called your bank account.
Yeah.
Right. If your restaurant's making $1,000 a month and it's costing you $2,000 a month to operate the restaurant, and you got 10 grand in the bank in reserves, your bank statements are holding you accountable. Yeah. Your bank statements are holding your feet to the fire for what you need to do. And if you're not doing it, you are going to smash face first into the wall. The thing, and we try and create that isolated accountability for ourselves with something like recovery. The problem is there's an unlimited runway. We can always push the wall back further. We can always rationalize to ourselves, well, yeah, this is what happened, and I'm going to do better next time, and I'm going to do better next time. Man, I know what that's like. I did that for 30 years, even with an accountability buddy.
Yep.
At times. Conversations like, yeah, you know, this messed up this week. Well, we'll do better next week, right? It's always do better next week, do better next week, do better next week. And it wasn't until I really got into this type of accountability that Matt is talking about, where it's not the, oh, you screwed up, man, do better.
Right.
Be better. Have you tried stopping?
Right.
Instead of that, it was, okay, what was going on? What do you need to watch out for next time?
Yep.
How can you identify this same situation where you were overwhelmed by the emotional pain and you reached for the pain pill of pornography?
Yep.
Without having that level of accountability, where we're putting on our detective hat and thinking through, okay, here's what was going on. Here's where I was. Here's what was happening. Oh, and I can see where I took the first step off the path. That level of taking ownership of responsibility. So the next time, I'm like, oh, wait a second. I just realized I just took the first step off the path. I haven't gone to Pornhub yet, but
yeah, if
I don't get back on the path right now, it's just a matter of a couple days before I'm right back there.
Absolutely.
That's the type of accountability we're talking about, not the type of accountability that's like, oh, man, you just fell in the ditch.
Yeah.
Well, get back up and don't fall in the ditch again.
Exactly. Yeah, man, you know, we talk a lot about like our time in the church, Yeadon. And, you know, there was a form of accountability for me when I was heavily involved in youth group and during my heavy church era. But that accountability also always kind of felt like it came with a degree of shame. Judgment.
When you say degree of shame, are you talking like 1 degree? Are you talking like 1,000 degrees?
Yeah.
I was the same.
Yeah.
And I would say that type of accountability, shame really was the tool
Yeah.
to try and hold someone accountable. It's like, oh man, this shame, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to feel this shame. That was a huge motivating factor for me to just hold on and white knuckle and try and hold on at one more day,
Yep.
because I was terrified I was going to get zapped by God, who has a magnifying glass on me when I'm by myself with my phone. It's like, oh, well, screwed up again.
Yep.
Now I'm going to get punished.
Yep.
And that shame categorically is an ineffective tool.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yep.
It only compounds the problem.
Yep.
I would say even, possibly unpopular opinion, that's not real accountability.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't leave any room for growth.
Yeah.
Because the only way growth happens is when people make mistakes.
Yep.
Children do not learn how to walk by when they fall down, their parent smacking them on their backside, like, don't fall down next time.
Yep.
Or yelling at them or shaming them into don't fall down next time you try and walk.
Yep.
That's not how life works.
Yep.
And when we try and shame ourselves forward, it is only ever counterproductive.
Yep. Yep. Beautiful stuff, man. Yeah, I find there's so much judgment infused in that latter form of accountability, and I think that's something that I feel proud about. Like that distinguishes us, as a community, is our ability to really come in and just speak our truth and be loved in the midst of that. And with that, I'll go to our third point, and that is the power. Or one of the blessings of community is the blessing of healing, right? So much of this journey is infused with shame. Shame's just like right there with us, like I don't want to say friend, but a constant companion, maybe I'll say. Constant companion, right? And going back to the tagline we've used so often here, that shame dies when stories are told in safe places. I find it's critical to have a place to go and to heal. I found that it's critical to have a place where we can bring all of our crap, lay it down at the feet of our brothers, and be looked in the eye and be told, I love you, brother. How can I support you right now? Such an critical. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying when you're saying like lay it down, it just struck me like the oxymoronics. I don't know if it's a paradox, probably not a paradox, but like the catch-22, because I know when you were taught the teachings of Jesus, one of the things is like one of the hymns I grew up with, like leave your heavy burden at the cross.
Yep.
You may even know that hymn.
Yep.
OG hymn, right? Lay your burdens down. There is, I was about to say unlimited, unqualified, unconditional. That's the word I'm looking for. Right? Unconditional love with Jesus. Mm-hmm. And we're taught that. And yet, when I was in the organized Christianity circles in Bible studies, it's like there's this unconditional love from Jesus and this terror of being transparent with where I was in my struggle with pornography.
Yeah. Because
I knew there was not unconditional love from my brother, from my pastor, from the other members of the church. I had this sense that there wasn't, because I was a youth minister. I was talking about the dangers of pornography and how evil it was and how to stay away from it.
Yep.
While I was stuck in it.
Yep.
It's this weird paradox of unconditional love at the spiritual level and this kind of shame accountability on the relational level.
Yep.
And it's very painful. It was very painful to be in because I was stuck.
Yep. So getting into that community, right? Getting into a loving, healthy, conscious community where there is other men who are on the path, there is that healthy form of accountability, right? There is that healthy form of visibility, right? And also just like the opportunity to see, oh, I'm not the only one struggling with this.
Yes.
Going back to, how we set this conversation up here today, most often men travel alone in this journey, right? And when we travel alone in this journey, when I travel alone in this journey, all the stories begin to spin up about what a weirdo I am, pervert, only one that deals with this, what the heck, right? When I got into community, I began to see, oh, there's a lot of other men who have the same story as me. There's a lot of other men with the same struggles of me, right? There's a lot of other men who have gone to the dark places like I have, and I think getting into community and getting around other men, right, other healthy men who are having this conversation helps us to see like, oh man, maybe I'm not so bad after all. Maybe I'm not so weird after all. Maybe I'm not so screwed up after all, right? And we can begin to normalize the conversation in our lives. And once we begin to normalize the conversation, then we can get into the practice of having the conversations, right? Hey, this is what happened. Here's where I'm in my journey. Here's where I'm struggling with, right? We begin to normalize the conversation versus it being something that we stuff way down in the deepest, darkest, closet or attic or basement of our lives, right? So community, critical piece of the puzzle when it comes to normalizing the conversation, having these conversations, and really, really embarking on the healing journey that's so essential in this walk.
Absolutely right, man. Absolutely right. So, brother, if you're out there listening, not if you're out there listening, I know you're out there listening. Right? I say if you're out there listening, so I'm just sitting here in my office recording. It's like, I don't know who's listening, but you're listening.
Right.
So you're out there listening. We talked about no one does this alone. We've talked about having accountability. We've talked about healing the shame. How can you set yourself up for true success on this journey towards freedom, on this journey from porn to purpose? So wherever you are, we want to connect with you. We want to support you in this journey because we know how dark it is by ourselves. We've been there. And you don't have to do this alone. You can check us out. Check us out on the web, www.porn2purpose.com. Just like it sounds.
Yep.
No crazy spellings, just typing it out. If you have one of those filter systems on your program, it may block it. I don't know. You may have to, your accountability partner, like, what is porn2purpose.com? But check us out. You can learn more about me, learn more about Matt, a little bit more about our journey.
Yep.
If you're new to the podcast, you can shoot us a private message. You can find us on Facebook, Porn to Purpose group. They're on Facebook. It's a private group where we talk about recovery. We do everything we can to support men. We even have a 6-month boot camp called the Liberation Boot Camp. That is 24 weeks of what we're talking about, this accountability, this connection, this relationship, so that you really can break the shackles that are holding you stuck in pornography for good. And if that's you, man, we want to talk to you.
Yep.
So find us online, shoot us a message, schedule a private call with us. We want to support you on this journey however we can. And in the meantime, keep listening, keep tuning in, keep fighting the fight.
Yes.
If you're not ready to talk yet, I get it. I wasn't ready to talk for decades. Keep pushing as best as you can.
Yep.
Because the journey is hard, but the freedom is worth it. And on that note, brother, thanks for tuning in. As always, thanks for hanging out with us for a while this afternoon or this morning, whatever time it is you're listening, middle of the night. I don't know when you listen to podcasts, but we will catch you on the next episode. You've been listening to the Porn to Purpose podcast with Matt Sinkovitz and Yeadon Smith. Godspeed. We'll catch you next time.
Love you, brothers. Peace, power.
Noble men.
Noble men.